Yeah, and meantime, sticking with Russia, the U.S. colonel is reportedly planning on punishing Russia for their alleged hacking during the elections. Are you supportive of that?
I'm supportive of the truth, and I'm not convinced the Russians were the ones actually behind the hack. With that said, the Russians are constantly hacking us. Think about this. Why now, after 8 years, is the Obama administration only now paying attention to this? The Russians have been doing the hacking going into our infrastructure for the past 8 years. Many of us, to include myself, have been saying, you need to pay attention to this, and they didn't. I'm not convinced that the WikiLeaks release were, done by the Russians. With that said, the White House is obligated to provide the American people evidence because they're putting us on the path to potential conflict with the Russians. This is no small issue. So at this point in time, Sandra, I think this is all science fiction. This is like a bad episode of Lost in Space. Wow. This White House has never shown the ability to actually draw a red line and say if you cross it, something is going to bad happen. So I think this is all posturing. I think this is an attempt by President Obama to poison the relationship between the Russians and the United States for the incoming Trump administration. I don't see any real action.
I think it's all posturing. They'll say that they are, but then they won't actually.
Well, giving us sort of an idea about how the next administration might handle this, Colonel, here's what President-elect Trump said about Russia's possible hacking involvement yesterday.
Sure.
I think we ought to get on with our lives. I think that computers have complicated lives very greatly. The whole age of computer has made it where nobody knows exactly what's going on. We have speed, we have a lot of other things, but I'm not sure you have the kind of security that you need.
Anti-computer.
we were all catching the beginning part of the President-elect's statement there, Lieutenant Colonel. But what's your reaction to that?
Well, look, he's got essentially an everyday guy's view of what goes on. We don't actually know exactly what happens. And I've seen the reports put forward to the media regarding who they think did the hack. Well, the Democrats paid for some of those companies to do the assessment. So, gee, do you think maybe if the Democrats paid for it, it's going to be pro-democratic, in their view? So I think we have to sit back and look, all these anonymous sources, this anonymous person is getting around this town. John Brennan has been one of the anonymous sources, and he's doing it based on my information, based on his being told to do so by President Obama. So take everything you're hearing with a great deal of suspicion. So I think Mr. Trump is very wise to say, look, we just don't know enough about who did what. With that said, I think he and others are for the idea of investigating to find out.
Right. And are you are too, Tony.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Release the intelligence. And even Senator Lindsey Graham said, if we're going to lay sanctions on Russia over this and go after Russia, just wait for the next administration to do it. But release the intelligence, have an investigation, and take action if necessary.
Precisely. And I think, that's why what I'm saying is this is all posturing. This is all very unhelpful, very negative posturing by this White House. Look, President Obama is being petulant. And again, let's look at the fact that this is all through quote-unquote anonymous sources. Why on earth would you consider a major military intelligence and operations campaign against a challenger in the United States via anonymous sources? It's totally irrational.
It's the first time we've ever seen Democrats be concerned about Russia at all. Mitt Romney was mocked so much for being concerned, and now that it's politically expedient, very concerning.
Right, absolutely.